Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about a continuum of treatment. Especially if you go to a disability hearing, the judges will assign weight to your different medical sources. So, for example, if you just went to a doctor and you had him or her just do an assessment for you, but there was no what they call continuum of treatment, over a year or two span, and you just saw the doctor and the doctor gave you an evaluation, like say, for example, fibromyalgia, did a fibromyalgia statement on you and said that you were suffering from all these conditions. Well, what will actually happen is while you think, oh man, that's fantastic evidence, I turn it into the court. Well, the judges are not that dumb. And so what they'll do is they'll evaluate, well, did you have an ongoing treating relationship with that physician that just gave you an assessment? If you did not, then the judge is going to assign what he or she calls little weight, and they'll actually issue it in the opinion. I gave little weight. The judges would say, I gave little weight to the opinion by Dr. Smith, exhibit number so and 2F, because there's no continuum of treatment. There's no longitudinal, they like to use that word, spectrum of treatment. I mean, it's you can use any descriptive words you want. But if you're just going to a specialist one time to get evaluated, send in a report, it's not going to do you very much. It's not going to do you a lot of good, especially in your hearing, in your disability hearing. So try to keep that in mind. If you're trying to establish that you are disabled, look, everybody knows that you don't have any money by this point when you're having to file for disability. That's just a given. And you're not going to have the money or the insurance to cover private specialists. But if you could go through county, go through a county treatment, county hospital, whatever, you can get put on the waiting list for specialists there at the hospital. I'm just throwing out ideas here. So what does that also tell us? Well, if you're having to get on the list to wait for a specialist, if you're getting either free or very inexpensive care, start doing it right away before you file for disability, or if you have a quick onset, do it when you're filing for disability. While you may get denied the first and second time and have to go to a hearing, by that time it's been a year and you've been getting treatment from a specialist, hopefully, that can help establish that you really are disabled, because the specialist can then evaluate your limitations that keep you from working. The other thing too is if you're filing for disability and you can't get to see a specialist right away, well, if you start seeing a specialist, what will a lot of times happen if you have to go to a hearing is that through your first initial filing for benefits and the reconsideration, you may be getting denied, but don't lose heart, because the judges, again, are the Social Security judges are smart enough to recognize, or else they should be, that when they look back at the Disability Determination Service in your local state, the one that assesses whether or not you're disabled, that even if they're finding you disabled, they're not getting the whole picture of that treatment from a specialist. So let's say you file for disability benefits, you're denied. You file a reconsideration, you're denied. You file for a hearing. So let's say that takes as much as a year. It doesn't really take a year usually on the first and second, the first application and by the second appeal. But let's say it's 8 to 10 months. Well, the examiners that are looking at your case and saying, hey, he or she is not disabled, you are not disabled, they're not getting the full picture of that specialist that you may still continue to be going to. So usually it takes about a year from that point, 12 to 14 months to get to a hearing. By that time, you can point out to the judge, Judge, if you look back at my case, here's why I am actually disabled. So if you look back at my case, the disability examiners were looking at my medical evidence, but they didn't have the entire picture of my medical evidence. And so now that you've had another year to look at my medical evidence, look and see what this specialist is saying. He or she is saying that I have limitations standing, walking, using my hands, following directions, concentrating. I can't deal with stress very well in a competitive work environment. I'm not able to work around others. I can't take instructions from my boss. Okay, so those are all physical and mental limitations of whatever ailment you may actually have. So you have a continuum of treatment there now. You started with the specialist, you're ending at the hearing with the specialist. Okay, and even though you got denied the first or second time, you're still being able to move forward on it. The judge will then assign it great weight. Will then assign it because you've had a continuum of treatment, and that's how you win your case.